So what I'm going to be showing you today is just pretty much hacks for certain mushrooms that you maybe never heard of or seen before. So this is probably the one that you've dealt with the most, either baby Bella or, I mean, they're shaped and sized like white mushrooms. So, I mean, these are just, you know, boom, just slice them and use them for whatever you're going to use them for. Or you can give them like a dice if you want to, you know, use them something smaller if you want to use it in like a binder or something. They work really well if you're making like a vegan meatloaf or something. So you can slice or dice these. That was just a rough chop. We're not gonna be on here for 5 million years today. You can, now if you can remove the caps, you can keep the caps on. If you've cleaned them, leaving the skin on is fine. You can also take the skin off if you choose to. If you're, I normally leave the bark in with these. It's really not a big deal at all. But removing the bark, I normally use a butter knife, and you just get in there like this. If I'm making stuffed mushrooms, I would use these normally, and I definitely always remove the bark when I'm doing stuffed mushrooms. See how I got all the brown stuff off on that half right there. That gives you more room for your stuffing for your mushroom. So I normally like to have as much stuffing in there if I'm doing artichoke and spinach ones, or stuffed mushrooms, or like a faux crab type stuffed mushroom. So then these are king oyster mushrooms. These I use as like a scallop substitute. So you're gonna remove the end and then just make it in like the size that a scallop would be. I'm gonna leave that end off because it wasn't that pretty. So resembles a scallop. The best way to get all the flavor in your scallop is you're gonna score it. So you give it like a teeny tiny little slice. A teeny tiny slice. You're not going far. You're just barely cutting through the surface, and then you turn it and just go the other way, kind of making like a tic-tac-toe kind of thing going on there. And then, like I said, that soaks up the flavor. When I do scallops, to give it that fishy flavor, I use nori sheets, and I put them in my coffee grinder, and I soak them in very hot water, and then soak the faux scallops in it, and that gives it a really fishy flavor. Now this is a king oyster mushroom. So the king oyster mushroom, as you can see, is like big, it's huge. So what you're gonna do with this is you're gonna shred it with a fork. Takes a second to first get in there and get the shreds going. But this is great. You can use the shreds to add to soups, like if you're doing like a New England clam chowder soup. This is really good for it. And then you see it just starts to kind of pull apart, and you can leave them this long. You can cut them, and these are really good for pulled pork or pulled chicken recipes. It gives it that texture and that shreddy look to it of the pulled pork and pulled chicken. So see how that looks? Love it. It's good for gravy. I made a really good mushroom onion gravy with that the other day, and it came out delicious. So then we have portobello mushrooms, which most people know about. So the stem, you pull the stem off. I would not suggest eating the stem. It is not poisonous or anything, but it has a very woody, barky flavor. It is good for keeping and using to make a broth, like a mushroom broth or a vegetable broth. Now, definitely, I highly suggest, I would not leave the bark on these because they're a lot more potent than the baby Bella mushrooms and like the white mushrooms, the snowcat mushrooms. And they will give your food, if you leave the bark on it, they will give your food like an almost nasty taste. Very woody, very, very barky flavor. So what I use these for, you can grill them and add them to your anything, pasta, rice bowls, stir fry, saute them, whatever you want to do, add them to a soup or a stew. You can use them, or you can add them to, you know, your sandwich. Just grill it just like this and it'll flatten, all the moisture will come out of it. And you can just put it on a sandwich, or you can use the cap itself. Take one cap and another cap and place it on the bottom. If you're looking for like a low carb sandwich or a burger, you can use these to replicate the buns. So what I've done here is I've taken 2 portobello caps and I've put skewers through them. Now you can put the skewer pretty much all the way, like put it to the very end. As soon as it comes out, that leaves room for another mushroom cap. So you'll have 2 on there. And then what you would do with that is you would put some barbecue sauce on it, put it on the grill. When it's done, you just slice right down here. And then you just have 1 long skewer of barbecue portobello. So if you want to feel like you're eating ribs or whatever the case may be. So then what I also like to do is I take 2 of them. So you do 1 first, and then you put the other one right under it. That way your skewers line up right. And then you can take your mushrooms and you can stuff them with whatever you want. If you want to do just stuff that works on the grill, like tomatoes, throw some eggplant in there. You know, throw some vegan cheese, some vegan mozzarella cheese, zucchini, roasted red peppers. You can do anything you want. And then you place the other one on top. Now the skewers, because you line them up right, they're good to go. And if you want, you can actually put 1 toothpick just right through the middle just to keep it together while it's grilling. And then put it on the grill or saute it, however you want to do it. Flip it around and put whatever sauce you want on it. Or marinate them before you do this. When you marinate them, they don't stay as firm though. And then when you're done, you can either take the skewers out and eat it like a burger, but I mean, then you wouldn't have needed the skewers, or you can just slice down and then you just have perfect little like skewers of, you know, nice stuffed mushroom. And then last but not least, we have, this looks like a beautiful flower. So this is an oyster mushroom. There's different kinds like blue oyster mushrooms and all types. So this is like my newest find, and it is like my favorite mushroom now. So the only thing that you do with this, cutting wise, there's this little stem part right here, and that's just where it came from the ground. And you barely slice it off, like barely slice it off. Because if you slice too much, now it's not like combined. These are gonna start coming off. And that's fine if you wanna use them. What I do is I take off like a bunch, like at the stem, and you can batter them and fry them to replicate kind of like fried chicken, or if you take them off in bigger clumps, or even if you just batter this whole thing and throw it in grease. You can make like a fried chicken. You can make a fried chicken sandwich, or you can pull these pieces off and you can put them in a soup. Once again, just like the king oyster mushroom, you can pull these off. You can use them in soups, stews. They work perfectly. You can keep it together like this as well if you want to make a steak. So you would grill the steak, but to give it that to pull these pieces, bring them together, you would press it with something. You can either put like I have like a portable little panini press, where it's just like a little weight with a handle on it, and you put it on your panini. You can use that. You can put like a pan on top of another pan, anything heavy that you can put on top of this. You can put a pot on top of it and then put something heavy in the pot, and then you're just gonna carefully flip it. And then after the first couple times you flip it, it's really binded and you can kind of do anything with it. It's like super durable. So those are a few things to do with mushrooms. I hope I have introduced you to maybe a mushroom that you've seen in the store, have no idea what it does, what you can do with it, or maybe I've given you an idea for a mushroom that you've already cooked with plenty of times. So please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, guys, and have an awesome day. Thank you.